What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome back to MKO Boxing, aka MKO Pugilism, where we talk all things box. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow on TikTok, all that good stuff. Yeah, so let's get into it. So recently, as of about a day or so ago, Billy Nelson has been spreading this rumor on social media that people should ask Moses Itaumas about his chin, ask Moses about his chin, which to me is kind of implying that Moses Itaumas might have a glass jaw or a weak chin or a suspect chin or something of that nature. But to me personally, I think this is kind of just a bit of perhaps a bit of damage control on the part of Billy Nelson, because I personally think that because of the fact that Frank Warren has come out and said that he would happily do the Itama versus Bacoli fight next. He Frank Warren has said it publicly that he'd be happy to let his charge, his young prospect, 20-year-old Moses Itama, he'd be happy to let him loose and let him fight Martin Bacoli. And as we all know, Martin Bacoli, he is rebuilt since his loss to Michael Hunter years ago, and he's kind of developed this bogeyman status, the boogeyman or whatever. But, Billy Nelson's been singing his praises for a couple of years now, number of years, saying he's stopped Joshua inspiring, he's stopped Usyk inspiring, he's stopped Dubois inspiring, and essentially he's the sparring king. He's bashed everyone up in sparring. He's everyone's scared of him. He destroys absolutely everyone. Joe Joyce, the whole lot, everybody you can think of, he's bashed them up in sparring, and that's how Billy Nelson's been going on. But as of late, Martin Bacoli's had that one good performance, a couple bit battered Tony Yoka, also the American Jared Anderson as well. And but then he's gone into the Joseph Parker fight at short notice and got sparked by Joseph Parker, got battered within a couple of rounds. And then he's gone in against Ife Jagba, should I say, and looked poor against Ife Jagba. So I think that Nelson and Bacoli are now sort of on the defensive side now, where before it was like they were saying no one wants to fight them. And I think now, because of how poor the last couple of performances have been, I just feel that Billy Nelson, Martin Bacoli, because he was ringside, at Tama's fight, and he was getting a bit peed off being asked questions about Moses Tama, and you can tell that they're not really happy to be mentioned in the same breath as Itama. He said, yeah, Itama done good against this bum, but he's not near my level. I would take it, but I've got nothing to gain from taking that fight. So I just think what Billy Nelson's saying about his chin is just kind of playing defense in a sense. It's just kind of trying to be a bit defensive and trying to sort of pour doubt on Moses Itama because of the fact that your fighter, who's supposed to be able to, be this world beater, has been, beaten in one fight, short notice, okay, fair enough. But then he didn't look very good against Efe Jagba, and Efe Jagba is no world beater. You wouldn't pick Efe Jagba against Usyk or Dubois or anyone sort of in that top five. You just wouldn't pick Efe Jagba against any of them. So the fact that Bacoli's gone in there and looked bad against him and arguably lost to Efe Jagba, he was very poor against him. So to me, I'm just thinking Nelson's just kind of trying to deflect off of the negative press his fight has been getting. And I think when you look at this logically, I mean, Itami, he's a young guy, and I personally think that the fact that he's done all this sparring with, guys like Lawrence Okoli, Joe Joyce, and Daniel Dubois, and he's been in there and he's been called in for these guys multiple times, as a young teenager, as a schoolboy, school uniform and stuff in some of these spars. I think the fact that he's been able to go around the gyms, do this sparring as an amateur, and hold his own and give these guys trouble. I mean, Joyce said how hard the spar was. Lawrence Okoli said how hard, it was a hard spar with Moses Itaumas. So it's pretty obvious to me that, going by the testimony of the boxers that have sparred with him, that he was holding his own in the spars. It is a possibility that, yeah, as it's heavyweights, he may have been hurt at some points. He may have been down, but I've not heard that. I can't prove that, but yeah, he may have been hurt. He may have been down, but overall, going by what we know of the sparring, everyone that's seems to have been involved in it says Moses Itauma was holding his own as a young teenager. So, if with that being the case, and obviously a top level amateur, with that being the case, it just kind of rubbishes Billy Nelson's idea about him not having a chin, because I think you wouldn't bring someone in, to spar with these top guys, Daniel Dubois, Joshua, anyone like that, Fury. You wouldn't bring him in to spar with these guys unless he was actually worthwhile, unless he was able to give them rounds and hold his own. It wouldn't make no sense. If he had a glass jaw, they wouldn't use him. They'd probably just send him home after one day or whatever, or his team or his amateur coach would never bring him back. And I think that kind of, for me, that kind of proves it. The fact that he's been brought in for these different professionals at different stages, no complaints. Everyone said he held his own. I think that kind of lends credence to him not having the glass jaw that Billy Nelson's talking about. So, yeah, that's just my 2 pence on it. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. Until next time, it's MKO Boxing, over and out.